Ryan Keith Show. Quick hot take. Happy Easter, or Happy Resurrection Sunday to those who believe. It also happens to be April 1st, so it is April Fool's Day as well, and as usual, I've seen quite the array of funny April Fool's jokes on Twitter regarding, especially regarding football and who's leaving and who's coming and going. And it's funny because it seems like when April Fool's Day comes, especially it's European football where the most jokes seem to come about players leaving and, you know, this player's going here and this player's going there, and everybody's got a joke about, you know, this, that, and the other thing. So it's kind of funny reading through Twitter on April 1st. But what I wanted to talk about real quick, and what I mentioned last week when the news first broke, and I talked about yesterday on Instagram and Twitter, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. What an amazing debut he had for the LA Galaxy in the MLS yesterday. Comes on for the last 20 minutes, scores his first goal, about a 40, 50-yard strike that was just pure Zlatan, epic Zlatan. And if that would have been all he did, it would have been an amazing debut. But, of course, never one to, let somebody else take the spotlight. He goes ahead and scores the game-winning goal on a header off a cross from Ashley Cole in injury time to lead the Galaxy to a 4-3 victory in the LA Derby against LAFC. Basically, Zlatan's debut in MLS, 20 minutes, 2 goals, including the game winner. Welcome to the MLS, Zlatan, or more like welcome, MLS, welcome to Zlatan, because it's quite clear he's back in top form. Looked like he was at 110% yesterday. And that's what I'm happy for him. He's one of my favorite players of all time. I'm stoked to see him here in the U.S. All he's going to do is help grow the game of soccer, or, football, soccer as we call it here in the United States. It's huge for the MLS. It's huge for the LA Galaxy because they always seem to get the top European players. But what it also tells me, and I truly believe this, and we'll probably never know the 100% truth, but, United I believe it was just 2.5 weeks ago, they post pictures every day when the players are training, of players driving in to training and showing up for training every day. And Zlatan was back training with the first team in the last couple of weeks, which means he was clearly almost 100% ready to return to action. And I truly believe that if United didn't completely capitulate and throw away the Champions League opportunity by crashing out against Sevilla and losing a terrible 2-legged tie to Sevilla, which they had no business losing to, Ibra would still be at United and still be a member of the squad. And I think once we were eliminated from the Champions League, and it's quite clear that, Manchester City is going to win the league this year. Really, the battle is for second place. The only trophy, he would have left to really compete for is the FA Cup, which we're obviously right there in the thick of it. Huge match coming up against Tottenham in April at Wembley. But I feel like Zlatan really wanted to play in the Champions League for Manchester United, and I feel bad for him because he basically is the reason that we qualified for the Champions League this year. He put us on his back last season and carried the club for most of the season and most of the Europa League. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to play in the final, but because of that victory in the final, we obviously qualified for Champions League. And that's what I kept thinking all summer and all fall as he was rehabbing and getting closer to returning, was how excited he must be, but also how excited I was, and most fans probably were, to see Ibra get a chance to play in the Champions League for United at Old Trafford. And the way we crashed out against Sevilla was just such a bummer, because we had such a great opportunity to advance in that tournament, and I truly believe a legitimate shot to make it to the final and possibly even win it. And I think that once we lost to Sevilla and that competition was over, that pretty much sealed the deal. Yes, he could have stuck around and, been a part of the squad and tried to help us win the FA Cup. But, he's done so much for the club. The club's done so much for him. They've had such a great working relationship for 2 years that they mutually agreed to let him leave so that he could start the season with the Galaxy. And that's the one other a whole nother issue for a whole nother day. The way MLS has this weird season that's totally opposite of all the other leagues around the world. It's ass backwards, which is, like I said, a totally different topic for another day. But they came to an agreement to let him leave so that he could start, training with the Galaxy and start the season here from the beginning and not wait until beginning of June when the MLS is in the middle of their season to show up and start playing with the Galaxy. It was no surprise. There's been rumors of him going to the Galaxy for years. There was even talk of it back when he first left PSG and he came to United on a 1-year deal. By far exceeded expectations other than his own. I mean, he told us what he was going to do. He came and he did it. Unfortunately, he had the devastating knee injury, but rehabbed that, came back. Fortunately, we did get to see him play a few matches this season in the number 10 shirt. He scored 1 goal for us this year, but just said he never quite felt 100% right, and so he shut it down for a little while, but was back, after a couple months, was back training with the first team, and I feel like was ready to go, and that was obviously evident yesterday. He was at 110%, comes on and scores 2 goals for the Galaxy in his first match, and it was almost reminiscent of his first match with United when he scored an overhead kick against Galatasaray, and how last season, he started out on fire out of the gate, scoring goals, and never really looked back. So I don't want to say it's a huge loss for United, because Romelu Lukaku's been amazing this year, well worth the $75 million price tag. But it sucks that, that Ibra didn't get that opportunity in Champions League, because I would have loved to see it, and I know that almost all United fans feel the same way. But it's great to see Zlatan back at 100%. Stoked to have him here in the MLS. I've never really been a big fan of the MLS personally. I've always thought it was a step down from all the other leagues. And in my opinion, it still is, but it's getting better every year, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic is only going to help that. So that was obvious yesterday. And like I said, he's helping convince me or turn me to pay more attention to the MLS, or at least to the LA Galaxy. So I will definitely be doing that this season, and I might even get myself a LA Galaxy number 9 kit with Ibrahimovic on the back. So congratulations, Ibra. Thanks for everything you did for United. I'm stoked to see you doing so well in LA. It's the next chapter. But like I said, it just stinks that it couldn't have ended the way he wanted to with the Champions League and the Premier League at United. But not all things are meant to be. So on to the next chapter, and hopefully United finish the season strong, second place, and hopefully we can get back to the FA Cup and bring that trophy home and make it a successful season going into the summer and into the World Cup, and then turn the focus on to next season.